Gemini, I feel like your messages are deep, you know? I'm like, wow, I'm kind of wowed by how you're showing up this month. So let's just get into it. I felt like there was some preamble I wanted to say beforehand, but it'll come to me. Let's just dive. First card's about how you're showing up this month. Judgment in reverse. I'll show you them both. And Queen of Wands in reverse. Hmm, something is going on. I almost want to jump to. I've looked at your cards. I kind of want to jump to the kind of tail end advice cards of the readers, but I need to be patient. I need to kind of take you through the process. So the Judgment card here is about. I feel this felt like being haunted. I feel like you're being haunted by your past right now. That things are really coming through that you've already been through, already experienced, but they're coming up, and that doesn't surprise me because we're in Pisces season, and my goodness, in terms of dreams and illusions and all that Neptune as the ruler of Pisces represents has been coming through really strongly for all of us. And part of the collapsing of the boundaries, right, moving out of that more earth sign energy into Pisces, is not knowing what's real from what's false, or real in inverted commas, you know. It's not being able to, it's the feeling of the veil, or not distinguishing as much between the material realm and the spiritual realm, between your more present ego personality self and your more astral soul self. And so what's happening is that there are memories, experiences, thoughts, people, stuff that's just passing through the boundary, passing through, and you're so mentally astute, you guys are really picking it up. And I think you're feeling haunted, stalked even by your past in some way. And what's happened is I find you out of your power. I see this and I feel it in your reading. You are out of your power right now, and almost the word that comes to me is you've been bested. And I want to talk to you about what's going on there, but I feel like I have so much admiration for you as a sign, and I feel like your energy, your archetype, Gemini, is one that I just kind of see like you guys really sit in your power quite well, but not this month, not in March, not, you know, this. I feel like when I do these readings anyway, I'm pulling on whatever's just happened, so kind of immediate, you know, past last couple of months into the next month. And so I feel like if you're not ready feeling this, you will be, but there is this sense of being dethroned, I feel. And you're not the only sign. I'm sure I've said this to one of the other signs this month, but you've lost your power right now, Gemini. This Queen of Wands is upside down. I feel like in some ways for some of you this can literally relate to your sexual energy, and just like how it's been controlled, limited, thwarted, or redirected through the energies of the past, right? So you don't have full sovereignty, full control over how you're deploying your sexual energy. And if you don't have that, you also don't have full control over your creativity more broadly in the world. So you don't have possession of your fire energy right now, which would be the Queen of Wands. This can just see you for others just being out of balance, out of whack, you know, like not being able to rein your ambition, your willing towards something very specific, you know. So this is a very dispersed kind of energy, just not coming through very powerfully. And I don't know, there's something about your reading where it's really pushing me forward. I don't want to linger too much on any cards. I really want to move through. So the next cards you have, I pull cards around the context of these, of how you're showing up right now. I want to say that I pulled four cards for context, and only one of them were upright. The other three were in reverse. So let's start with the upright card. The only upright card you have is Ten of Swords, and you can see this person in this card is not upright. They're downright. So this is really speaking to where you're at in your life right now. You you have found yourself pinned down, but this is an air sign card. Actually, this is your energy, and I do think that it is more mental, or that it is happening on a psychological level more than on an external level. I think you guys are keeping it together in your external life, but internally you know shit's not okay with the computer brain that I often like talk about you guys having. It has it's blue screen. You know Windows? The Windows blue screen when the computer was like, I ain't got nothing left. Like, it's that kind of energy. You guys have hit your blue screen. Maybe you need, you know, my Mac's never done that to me. I hope it never will. So maybe you need an OS upgrade, an operating system upgrade. But okay, let me stop with the metaphors. I feel like you guys, on an inner level, psychologically, have hit hit a roadblock, and I feel like this is happening to you for a reason. It's divine order. You were meant to hit this point and fall and collapse. You were meant to reach the limits of your kind of mental capabilities, the limits of what you can do and feel and create in the world, the limits of yourself. You were meant to be running ahead, forging ahead as you guys could, and then stop, because that's the energy that is allowing your past to catch up with you. And that's what's happening. The past is catching up with you because it is time. We're approaching the astrological new year, which begins in Aries season, April. And so it's like you've got a rebirthing moment, because the source card is the clarifier. I pulled on this. There is a rebirthing. There is a reclamation of your power. There is a finding your ultimate source, your center. For some of you, this is your sacral and solar plexus chakras. There is a settling into yourself again, but there is a need for a death first. And you don't actually have the death card here. One of the only signs this month it hasn't come up for. But I think the reason is, for the other signs, the death energy is a process that's still unfolding. I think it's already happened to you. I think that's why you're here. Like, it's happened. That's happened for you already. So, what other context cards do I have for you? I have the Tower in reverse, the Knight of Cups in reverse, and the Seven, is this one? Yeah, Seven of Cups in reverse. Reversals, a major arcana here, and two cups energy. So there's something going on with you in your emotional realm, and this is being driven by a higher divine energy. But the Tower in reverse, there's a collapsing of some kind that you've been through, and I feel like in reverse is speaking to past collapses. And I think the thing that is stalking you is actually your relationships with individuals, with people, because I have the friendliness card here as a clarifier. For some of you, this Tower card in reverse is representing the breakdowns of key core relationships. Now, this doesn't have to be intimate. It doesn't have to be your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, lover. It doesn't have to be that. It can also be like close friendships, significant business partnerships, and significant family relationships. This is Libra, kind of in its sense. Libra is about whatever close partnerships you have. So use your intuition to tune into what this is about, but I feel your past is stalking you about kind of collapses in relationships that are in your core key relationships in your life. And I feel like with this energy here, it came out of the blue for you. I feel like you couldn't keep control of the situation. It unraveled outside of your control. And I think you did what you can do, which is move forward, like you kept it moving, like you kept control of the situation. But I think now, Gemini, like Spirit is saying, I need you to, because the Tower in reverse for me is feeling like an incomplete energy, because you didn't surrender to it. You tried to maintain your power. You tried to continue to be the Queen of Wands, the queen of this tower, whilst it was collapsing. So it's almost like you left the tower but continued to act as though you still had it. That is the message. I feel that this tower collapsed, and you guys kept acting as though you still had the backing, the support, the security of this tower. You acted as though you didn't miss a beat, and that has created a problem for you. And that's why you've got this major arcana of the Judgment card, which is like, actually assess the skeletons, assess the losses, assess the death process that you went through. There's no way to kind of skip past it. Okay, so the next card then, the Knight of Cups in reverse. So for some of you, this is an intimate relationship. I feel like you can't move on. You've got clinging to the past. I feel like you haven't really been able to move on from this situation, and anything that you've been doing to move on has been superficial. I think you've moved on in superficial ways, either in new relationships, just even in new pathways if it's business, but in new, superficially if it's a close friendship. Like, there's just something that's very superficial about this card. You have tried to move on. You have tried to take your heart and your love and the connection that is involved in this energy here and to try and offer it. But the thing is, you didn't acknowledge that this cup spilt. It's spilt. There's nothing left in there. But because you didn't want to deal with this, you didn't really want to confront this, really, you moved on with an empty cup. And therefore, because of that, you carry the emptiness of this tower, the haunting, the word that I'm talking about. You know, this tower is now empty. It's an empty space. And you're carrying that empty space forward in your life in the emptiness of this cup. And that's why you've got this clinging to the past card. The past is following you right now. So with the Seven of Cups in reverse, this is about emotional dispersion. It feels like I usually call this a card of emotional confusion, just lack of clarity. It's interesting here. The clouds always represent the air, thought energy for me. Given that you're an air sign, the clarifier card I have on here is the outsider. Inner child issues here. Being left out in the cold. So I'll show you where I was talking about this happens and you were trying to be this in your life. What you were hiding or covering up was this, you know. Your child, your inner child here was a witness to the collapsing of the tower, and it needs that to be spoken to. It needs that to be honored. It needs the trauma and the pain of that to be seen for you. Because without that, you can't get clear on what your emotional resources are. You can't get clear on what you need emotionally and who you are on a core emotional level. And you can't refuel, interestingly. That's what I'm feeling. When I said that this offer that you've been doing in your life is superficial, you can't refuel because of this energy. You need to pick a cup, sorry, there's 7 cups in this, and they all represent something different, and you need to pick one. You need to pick one that you can take forward in your life. But in order to do that, these clouds have been created by these clouds, the tower card, and you have to look at the tower. It's really odd because as I was saying that, I had the image, and I say this in the most like sacred and respectful way, but I had the image for those of you who I'm London based, and I had the image of Grenfell Tower and the fire that happened there and the lives that were lost, and just the way it just, I'm even speechless actually talking about it. There was, I don't have the words. Like when I tried to talk about Grenfell Tower, I can't. For those of you who are international, don't know about it, I suggest like Google and see what happened. But there was this thing in which, because it was such a high rise as well, and it was in terms of like the landscape or what people saw very regularly when they were going to work, or you know, it was just a tower that, you know, people saw, and then to see it burnt and to know the trauma and the lives lost and what it symbolized in terms of like race and class and poverty in Britain. And there was a hauntedness to that, and not haunted in terms of souls being in the building, but haunting in terms of the truth, like the judgment card here. It was a judgment moment. For those of you who know the rapper Stormzy, and you know the ode to Grenfell that he did at the Brit Show, I think it was the Brit Awards, that he did, kind of trying to hold our political elites responsible, accountable, for their role in creating that travesty, but also how they've abandoned. I'm very emotional how they've abandoned the people most severely affected by it. But there is a sense that it's haunted us on at the psychological element of who we are as a nation and who we are as a people, right? And this card here and a tower card here just really brings Grenfell back to me, you know, on a spiritual symbolic level. There is a symbol in your life of an ending, of a death, of something that happened that was traumatic, and there is, you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid that. You know, it has shown something. It's revealed something about the workings, the inner workings of your life that must be seen. In the same way that Grenfell has revealed something about what, you know, people embodied as black as me, like me, know what that is, right? We've known that, we lived that, but it has revealed something. It has made very stark, right? The social fabric that is Britain in the UK. Wow. Okay. I didn't think the reading was going to go there. Whew. So, moving on to what your spiritual lessons in this moment are. As soon as the Ace of Pentacles card came out, and it came out after the Page of Wands, but as soon as this card dropped in your reading, I felt immediately like it was the ground being pulled from underneath you. Pentacles being earth-based. What I feel in this card is that whatever you've been relying on, depending on, whatever was concrete and safe to you, whatever you thought was like you definitely had in your life, disappeared. and you don't have it. It's more of the Tower energy. Spirit has not allowed you to be able to rest and rely on it. It's why this energy is in reverse. You cannot build on to plant yourself into right now will not work, because the soul lesson for you at the moment, the spiritual growth you're doing, is the Page of Wands, and this is learning two things. It's one, learning self-dependence, like independence, autonomy, sovereignty. It's learning to rely on yourself. It's learning that it doesn't matter what towers collapse, when you have you are the only tower that matters. Everything else external can crumble as long as you exist, as long as you stay, as long as your soul and who you are at a core level is still intact. Everything else can drop. Okay, so there is this need for you to almost lose what doesn't matter. What it does, it matters to you. It's not fair for me to say it doesn't matter, because it does matter to you, but on a spiritual level, it's superficial. Spirit is stripping you so that you can see that you are it, you are the thing of value, and you are what will be consistent in your life. You are whenever you want to. This is one sign energy. There is this energy of going the distance in this card. This is an energy of the messengers, well, pages of the messengers, and I feel here this is about your personal message. This is not receiving a message. This is externalizing who you are on a soul level, who you've been encoded to be spiritually into the world. And the reason that you're having the boundaries, the foundations collapse right now is because whatever the tower was representing for you, Gemini, it was creating vices. It was creating dependency, codependency. It was you were indulging in it in particular ways. This could be as simple as like overeating, drinking too much, use of like drugs, whatever it is. Like, you were indulging your vices. You were within, like, but you had the safety, the confines of it, so you were indulging your vices in a way in which it wasn't ruining you. Oh, it was plundering your soul, but it wasn't ruining your material world. That came to me as The Wolf of Wall Street, for those who've seen it, and I'm a huge Leonardo DiCaprio fan. And but there's a scene, the movie is just, is great. Watch it if you haven't, and I'll try not to divulge too much in this moment. But there is this concept of them operating on a certain level, and creating this like illusion of like wealth, or just like a high thriving business environment, and just being quite decrepit and like void, and abusing their temple, right, abusing themselves through the use of like excessive drug use, irresponsible sex, all of that, and like literally trashing like their lives whilst amounting wealth, like this kind of double thing. And that's an exaggeration, like that film takes things to an extreme, but there's a similar energy for you, in which you were building your tower in ways that were indulging your vices and being able to be successful in the world while still doing things that were trashing you on a soul level. And you've come to a point where Spirit has said no more. Okay, and that the foundations have crumbled to reveal the devil to you, to reveal to you your vices, your entrapment, the darkness that you've been in, also to reveal to you how you've not grown spiritually, to show you how. I see, for example, 2 pages in this part of the reading. I'll show you the other one. And this page, this is the part that I was racing towards. Like, my spirit was pushing me towards getting to this message, because this page is coupled with the Emperor, and that's showing you where you are, and you're not the Emperor in this reading. So it's showing you, this is about showing you where you've not grown, where you've limited yourself, where you've stayed small. And it's like time's up. Like, there is an opportunity right now. There is a doorway for growth. There is a doorway to take hold of your soul, your spirit, and level the hell up. Okay, I shouldn't even say the hell, that felt very sacrilegious in this moment. I apologize, Spirit. Okay, I think that just did not feel right, but just to level up. Okay, so to embrace more spiritually, and to match, right, your competence in the world with a competent spirit. So let's move on to your other messages. Let me sip some. Not water today, actually should be, but I don't like waste, and I had a drink, so I'm like, I'm gonna finish that before I have water. All right, so your advice cards, Gemini. Let's get to it, honeys. You have the Eight is this? Yeah, Eight of Pentacles in reverse. Now, this is about not retreating into work. This is about not hiding from what's going on right now, but with effort and, you know, focusing on work related things, you know, just focusing on business and, you know, just trying to push your life forward in very practical terms. It's saying, no, that's not it. Because this is, like I said, these are the cards that just, this is the core of your reading, these two energies. And what's trying to come through me right now is that there is a need for you, you know, the inner child I was talking about here that witnessed the crumbling of the tower. There is a need for you to testify on this. Like, this is an air sign card, it's a messenger, it's a page, it's a need to speak. I told you had two pages, right? So it's a very novice kind of energy that you're in, but there is a need to speak truth to power in some ways. Even when I think about back to that Grenfell thing, and I shouldn't say the thing, sorry, Grenfell symbology that I'm using, but this is affecting real people's lives. I'm trying to be very respectful about this, but using Grenfell Tower and thinking about the most kind of marginalized or underprivileged or overlooked kind of communities in our society, and them literally needing to speak truth to power, which is the emperor here, which represents our government system. I'm taking that same metaphor, that same parallel for you, and saying that there is something in your life, right, that you need to speak truth to power to. Now, for some of you, this is an external person. Emperor represents an Aries. It could be an Aries, it could be a fire sign, doesn't matter if it is or isn't. This is about an external authority, something or an energy or person that has been driving you. I feel like you've almost been running from this energy in your life, okay? The Emperor represents an authority figure, something that has power and control over you. It is time for you to finally speak up, David and Goliath moment. But what you're speaking up for is your truth, right? You're speaking the truth of how this affected you. You're speaking the truth of how you've changed and what has, who you really are on a core level as a result of some of those separations that we talked about earlier in the reading. You need to speak up. You need to find, because there is a need to reclaim your power, which I see you will do as I look at the outcome cards. But this is the process. This is how to get there. There is a need to address the emperor in your life. And in addressing the emperor, I don't know, I'm such like I love popular culture. And so for some reason this month, so much popular culture is coming through in the reading. But I was thinking about the 100. I just binge watched that recently. And that is, in the show, there's a character in it called One Header. And the mythology of it is that you have to kill one header, and if you kill her, you gain her power. That's the belief. And it's almost like that if you can speak your truth to the emperor, you will embody this. Wrong card. You will embody this. In speaking your truth, you become the emperor of your own life. Okay, you break these chains and you regain, I don't want to say control because it isn't about being in control, but you regain the source card. That's it. You regain what this represents, which is the core, undiluted, unadulterated, passionate fire energy back for yourself. For some of you, this is more of an abstract energy. It isn't a person, it's not a particular person that you need to speak to, but this is like the thing that has been driving you forward in your life. It's almost been something that you've been trying to outrun. It's an energy. This is the past that is haunting you, representing the emperor, and this is the thing that has power over you. And so you need, the reading is saying that you need to turn around and address this. And so this might just be the communication of your inner child. This might also be the communication you have with yourself. This is self-honesty. This is recognizing where you truly really are. And this could be a process of journaling, for example. Some of you don't need to speak to an eternal person. It's more needing the communication to come out of you, where you are now, and have that internal dialogue with yourself. Okay, so once you've done that, 2 4s here. You've got the 4 in the form of the Emperor, and then the next 4 is a 4 of Swords, Swords being Gemini energy here. Once you've done that, the 4 that you get as a reward is peace. This is peace now. This has been able to stop running. This is able to put the swords to rest as well. The mental, the thoughts on a mental level that have been kind of haunting you, the word I've been using. This is peace now. This is being able to rest. This is being able to find the truth of the situation in ways that just stops cutting you. Just see it's laying your burdens down. That's how I feel. And just having an ability to kind of pause and rest and relax into the moment. And as you're doing that, I think this is also kind of a card of meditation. I think the thing that you'll be meditating on is the Ten of Cups. And it's the unhappy home, actually. It's the loss that you've experienced. It's things that felt like this, things that were nourishing to you emotionally, things that you were dependent on emotionally, things that were a significant and integral part of your world. No longer being there, going awry, just the loss of this energy, whatever this feels like to you. It's a time for you to be able to meditate and integrate this into your life in ways that becomes the alchemy of turning it into the source card. It's no longer a pain that you're outrunning or avoiding or pretending isn't happening, but it becomes fuel for you. That's the process that you're going through in March. So your outcome cards, if you can really take action, take the advice I've given you in this moment. You have Nine of Wands. This is you addressing your woundedness. This is you taking pause to really, bandage yourself, address your wounds, taking your time. This is pausing, slowing down, stopping, staying on guard, protecting yourself while you heal, and then being able, from a mended place, to move forward. Knight of Wands. To move forward passionately in the direction of your dreams, not moving forward in terms of running from something, but really being pulled towards something instead. Here's another 4 card for you, a lot of 4s, Gemini. By doing so, you're able to address the issues emotionally, address the disappointment and the disillusionment that is represented by this card, address the ways that you've closed down emotionally, and in doing so, what do you get next? 3 of Cups. Okay, you're able to do away with actually this 4th cup here. There's a way that you do this. Either, Gemini, in going through the process I've talked about, you remove one of these cups that's empty, the empty cup I've been talking about, and you take the new cup from Spirit and have this 3 that is pleasant, that is full of celebration, joy, and happiness, and new partnerships, new friendships, or renewing friendships, either, or renewing partnerships, but just having a rebalancing happening. Or you decide that actually the thing that's being offered to you in your life right now is not something you want. Nothing is forced on you. Equally, you can decide to not take what's being offered in this moment and to move forward with the 3 cups that you already have. That the choice is yours. The autonomy is yours. There is free will in this situation. But ultimately, if you can make a decision emotionally, if you can wrap things up emotionally right now, you can move on to this and this. Now, I showed you in the form, let's try and find it. I always do this, once I've read the card, just kind of throw them all together. Here they are. Excuse me. I showed you in the form of the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, your foundations falling out from underneath you and not being able to build. But if you can do what I've told you to do, what do you see here? Return of joy and happiness, return of fruition of your more playful energy, your fun-loving energy. I always think that Gemini is very attuned to fun, and you learn so much through your environment and new experiences, so you're in pursuit of what is enjoyable, but also doing that from the position of comfort, being and security. This is a solid foundation to build in, and this is having what you need. This is having your needs met by yourself, like you're meeting them, and this is being safe and free to go off into this energy because you have enough. Your tower, this is you rebuilding your tower without walls. No walls anymore. This is you recognizing what I said to you, that essentially you are the tower, you are what matters. I hope that resonates with you, Gemini. If you would like a personal reading to get clearer on any of these things, it's nicoleblack.com/services. And I will see you next month. I love you. Mwah.